Good morning, everyone, especially to our professor, Ma'am Matilde Tonel. Good morning po, ma'am. So today, we will continue our lesson about human right. So last meeting, we're able to finish defining what human right is. But first, let's have a recap. So when we say human right, it is a rights inherent to all human beings, whatever our nationality, place of residence, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language, or any other status. So human right is a set of fundamental rights that all people possess by simply the virtue of being human. So this right is innate to all of us, and it is there to protect and hold the highest regard of dignity of a person. Kasi kung wala po tayong human rights, talagang mahihirapan tayong pangalagaan yung sarili natin laban sa ibang tao, especially when we are just a normal person. So aside from that, also po, we're done discussing about the characteristic of human rights. So we have five. The first one is inherent. Pag sinabi po nating inherent, it is innate to all of us and it is in our nature. Sunod po is universal. Pag sinabing universal, it applies to all people everywhere without discrimination. Ito, meaning lamang po nito, ano man po ang lahi na meron tayo, saan man tayo nagmula, mayaman man o mahirap, may kapansanan may at or wala, is pantay-pantay po tayong may karapatang pantao. So, hindi po ibig sabihin na mas nakalalamang po tayo sa status kesa sa iba, mas marami po tayong human rights. Hindi po yan totoo dahil lahat po patungkol sa human rights ay pare-pareho lamang po tayo. Sunod na characteristic ay ang inalienable, meaning to say po, it cannot be taken away or forfeited. So, no one can ever take away your right as a person kasi bawat isa sa atin ay mayroong karapatang pantao. Kaya walang karapatan ang iba na hamak-hamaki ng isang tao dahil meron siyang kapansanan o mas mababa ang tingin niya kesa sa iba. Sunod ay ang indivisible. When we say indivisible, no human right is more important than another. So marami po tayong human rights na mga tao at lahat ng ito ay pantay-pantay. Wala pong mas nakalalamang sa kanilang lahat. Sunod po ay ang interdependent. Pag sinabi po nating interdependent, human rights are connected to each other. Hindi po pwede na isa lamang ang human rights na meron tayo. Meron po tayong maraming human rights at lahat po na ito ay konektado sa bawat isa. Then, we are also then discussing po about the history of human rights, particularly some key events or milestones in the history that contributed to the development of the human right na meron po tayo ngayon. Now, from the 539 BC, where Cyrus the Great started to give importance and freedom to the people captured during war. So, nagsimula pa po na written na mayroon na po tayong human rights noong panahon po ni Cyrus at ito po ay makikita sa Cyrus Cylinder. So doon po, binigyan ng karapatang pantao ang mga slave na na-capture during war sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay sa kanila ng pagkakataon na bumalik sa kanilang mga tirahan kung saan man sila nagmula. And then, to the most recent one po, which is the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights that give almost all the country lawmakers a guide when developing a human rights law to their own nation. So ito na po yung naging basihan ng mostly or almost lahat ng mga bansa kung magkakaroon rin po sila ng sarili nilang rule patungkol sa human rights. Now, let's move on to our next lesson about the history of human rights in the Philippines. So the Philippines has a long history of human rights, which is a core part of the country's constitution and state policy. So mahaba-haba na rin po ang history na mayroon tayo sa human rights. Kung babalikan, noong unang panahon pa lamang ay mayroon na tayong mga karapatang pantao. Ngunit gaya ng mga natalakay natin noong una, mahirap talaga ang pagkakaroon or magkaroon ng equal right noong unang panahon. So here are some of the key events and developments in the history of human rights in the Philippines. So the first one is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Yun nga po, um, as part of the United Nations, in fact, as one of the founding member of the United Nations, the Philippines opted to adopt the UDHR for two reasons. First po is to solidify the principle of human dignity and freedom. So dahil po sa nangyari noong World War II, na noon ay maraming tinorture na mga tao, maraming karapatang pantao na na-abuse. At dahil doon, nais ng Pilipinas na mas strengthen pa o maging ma-reinforce ng maayos ang human rights is ito ang naging dahilan kung bakit naging gabay natin ang UDHR. Sunod na purpose ng pag-adapt natin ng UDHR is to serve as a framework for human rights policies and legislation domestically. Meaning to say, ito ang naging gabay natin upang magkaroon tayo ng sarili nating karapatang pantao na mga batas dahil hindi lahat ng nasa UDHR is applicable sa bansa na naroon tayo. Sunod na um, naging events and development na meron tayo sa Pilipinas is the 1987 Philippine Constitution, particularly the Article 3 or the Bill of Rights. Uh, So the 1987 Philippine Constitution explicitly protects human rights, including civil and political rights, the freedom of speech, due process, protection against torture, and of course, the social and economic right that includes education, health, and labor rights. So the 1987 Philippine Constitution is established because of what happened during the Marcos regime. Ano po bang nangyari noong panahon na pinamumunuan pa tayo ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr.? So, because of the declaration of the martial law in the year 1972, it led to extensive human rights abuses. Meaning to say po nito, nagkaroon po tayo ng sari-saring human rights abuses kung saan um, lahat po ng mga victim o most of the victims is kinukulong without due process of law dahil lamang sa kanilang political idea. Sunod is, it includes, yun nga po, the arbitrary arrest ng mga tao dahil sa pagkikipaglaban lamang ng kanilang political na ideolohiya. Sunod is the enforced disappearance, meaning to say yung pagkawala ng mga, especially ng mga media during that time. So, ng maraming mga reporters, journalism ang nawala sa panahon ng Marcos or sa panahon ng martial law. At kalaunay, nalaman natin na karamihan sa mga journalist na ito ay namatay at inilibing ng buhay ng walang nakakaalam. Sunod is yung extrajudicial killings o yung pagpatay ng walang dahilan. Yun yung naging dahilan kung bakit ang constitutional protection is enshrined and the Bill of Rights is born. Sa mas madaling salita, dahil sa suppression na naranasan natin sa panahon or sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr., ay nagkaroon tayo ng the 1987 Philippine Constitution, particularly the Bill of Rights. Now, so the institution like the Commission on Human Rights or the CHR were established to promote and protect the human rights. So ito, yung CHR, ang mga isa sa mga namumuno at pumoprotekta ng mamahala at nagpapatupad ng equal rights na meron tayo. Meaning to say, sila rin ang maaari nating lapitan kung alam natin sa mga sarili natin na nalalabag na ang karapatang pantao na meron tayo. Kung mababalitaan natin sa mga balita sa news network, maraming mga abuses ang nare-report at isa ang CHR sa naging tulay para maabot ang justice na meron ang mga taong abused. Now, let's move on to the different kinds of human rights. So, kanina sinabi ko na meron tayong iba't ibang human rights. So, we have different kinds of human rights. So, human rights are classified into different categories. So, one of these is the classification according to the historical development of their recognition, namely the first generation rights, second generation rights, and the third generation right. So the different categories is tinatawag nating mga generation. So the first generation of human rights is laid on enormous stress on civil and political rights. So the first generation is more specific sa civil and political rights. So the first generation rights are influenced by the ideas that were unthinkable to the previous political society. So dahil ito ay first generation right, mostly sa mga right na ito ay itinatag noong unang panahon pa dahil sa tinatawag nating hindi pantay na kapangyarihan na mayroon ng mga tao. Dahil sa kagustuhan ng mga tao na magkaroon ng equal rights is nagkaroon tayo ng first generation right. So the first generation right includes the right to life, liberty, property, and security of the person, rights to equal protection of the law and due process, freedom from slavery, freedom from torture or cruel, inhumane, or degrading punishment, right to a fair trial, right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and right against ex post facto law or retrospective law. So, itong the right against ex post facto law or the retrospective law is ito yung karapatan natin na husgahan kung ano ang kung ano yung existing law sa mga panahon na nakomit natin yung crime. So meaning to say, hindi tayo pwedeng magkaroon ng punishment sa patupad lamang ng mga batas kung ang action natin is nangyari kahapon. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng ex post facto law or the retrospective law. So it is believed that political sovereignty rests with the people instead of the monarch. Dapat yung mga government representative natin is just a representative rather than unilateral and absolute. Meaning to say, hindi lahat ng karapatan ay nasa kanila at hindi lahat ng kapangyarihan ay nasa mga monarch or sa mga government representative natin. So aside from that, it is also the right to privacy of the person, home, and correspondence, freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, freedom of expression, association, and assembly, right to nationality, right to suffrage, to run for public office and to participate in governance, right to marry and found a family, and right to travel. Ito naman po tumutukoy sa mga civil rights na meron po tayo. So, the government, that the government po, ito po, that the government is the result of social contract and general will of the people. Meaning to say, ang government po ay nariyan lamang dahil ito sila po ay mga representative natin as a group of people. Now, dumako naman po tayo sa sunod na generation or ang tinatawag na second generation right that covers the economic, social, and cultural rights of the people. So, the second generation right includes the following: the right to work. So, meaning to say po, lahat po ng tao may kapansanan man o wala, tapos man sa pag-aaral o hindi, ay may karapatang makapagtrabaho. Right to fair conditions of employment. Ito po, isa sa mga hot issue na meron po tayo ngayon. The right to fair conditions of employment. Sunod, right to join and form trade and unions. Ito po, may karapatan po tayong sumali sa mga union na para po sa atin is doon po tayo nararapat. Sunod ay ang right to social security. Ito po ay patungkol sa mga benefits na meron po tayo. Isa sa mga halimbawa po ay Social Security System or the SSS. Ito po ay isa rin sa mga karapatang pangtao na meron tayo. Sunod is right to protection of the family. Ito po ang karapatan natin na protektahan ang sariling pamilya po natin na mayroon po tayo. Sunod is right to an adequate standard of living including right to food, clothing, and shelter. Yan po. Isa po talaga sa may mga karapatan pang tao na meron po tayo ay magkaroon ng karampatang makakain sa araw-araw. Meron po tayong maayos na pananamit at maayos na tahanan. Kaya nga po kung mapapansin po natin, ang gobyerno ay naglalaan ng karampatang budget para sa mga kababayan natin o mga kapatid po nating kapus. Nagkakaroon po tayo ng mga program kung saan binibigyan po natin ng tulong ang mga kababayan po natin na talagang kulang patungkol sa kanilang standard of living. Sunod po, karapatan na rin po natin ang right to health, mabigyan po ng karapatang gamot at quality health assistance sa lahat po ng mga tao. Karapatan rin po tayo na magkaroon tayo ng education. Kaya nga po, meron po tayong basic education at iyon po ay mandatory sa lahat ng mga tao. It is a choice of a people to continue their basic education for free. Kaya nga po mayroon po tayong mga public schools na nag-offer ng quality and good service and good education sa lahat po ng tao. And the right to culture. Ito sa pumoprotekta ng kultura ng bawat isa sa naninirahan sa bansang Pilipinas. Sunod po, the third generation covers the collective right. Kung mapapansin po natin, yung first generation and the second generation talks to individual right of the person. Ito naman pong third generation talks about to a group of people. It is the collective rights of the people. So ano po yung nakapaloob sa collective right? It includes the right to a healthy environment. So as a person, as a human being, karapatan po natin na magkaroon ng healthy environment kung saan napapangalagaan po natin ang kalikasan na mayroon tayo, napapangalagaan po natin ang kalusugan na mayroon po tayo. So, ito po ang isa sa mga karapatan natin na mayroon tayo. Pangalawa, right to development. Ito po ay patungkol sa mga progress na mayroon po ang bansa. So, as a person, as a human being, meron po tayong karapatan patungkol sa development na meron po tayo. It is our right to have a more progressive country and more developed place na nag-o-offer ng mas magandang opportunity sa lahat ng mga tao. At lastly, the right of indigenous people. Siyempre po, Um, isa sa mga kailangan nating protektahan is ang mga grupo na mayroon po tayo, especially the indigenous people. Isa sa mga halimbawa po natin is yung mga kapatid po nating mga ate sa Boracay. So, kung um, babalikan po natin, isa rin po ito sa mga naging hot issue or naging balita, laman ng balita noon. At dahil po doon, ang gobyerno po ay nagkaroon ng resolusyon na bigyan po ng um, settlement dahil po ang mga kababayan po natin ay sila po talaga ang nagmamay-ari sa lugar na iyon. So now, tapos na po natin ang iba't ibang categories or generations of human rights. Ngayon, bakit or why human rights matter? Bakit napaka-importante na mayroon or alam natin ang human rights? So when we say human rights, so human rights is important because it protects individuals from abuse and injustice. It promotes dignity and equality and provide framework for peaceful coexistence and governance. They ensure that governments and societies respect the intrinsic worth of every human being. Ito lamang po ang simpleng dahilan kung bakit napaka-importante na mayroon tayong human rights at napaka-importante na alam natin kung ano-ano ang mga human rights na meron tayo. Dahil kung wala po ang human rights is wala po magkakaroon tayo ng magulong um, pamayanan. Magkakaroon tayo ng chaos society where people are fighting each other. Parang babalik tayo na sa sinaunang panahon kung saan ang lahat ng tao ay ay nagkakaroon ng hindi pag-uunawaan dahil para sa kanila ay mas lamang ang kanilang karapatang pantao compare sa meron ka. So, human rights matter dahil ito ang nagiging guide natin na huwag nating tapakan ang dignity, huwag po nating tapakan ang karapatang pantao ng iba kung ayaw rin po nating tapak-tapakan ng karapatang pangtao. Mayroon tayo. Yan po. Now, for my position paper, my position paper is entitled Upholding and Strengthening Human Rights in the Philippines. So, you will know that human rights are the foundation of any just and equitable society, ensuring that every individual enjoys their dignity, freedom, and equality. Tama po. Kasi without human rights, talagang gugulo ang sistema na mayroon tayo. Imagine a world where chaos, war are everywhere. Napakahirap na pong balikan ang ganoon. So the 1987 Constitution and various international treaties guarantee these rights in the Philippines. However, significant challenges remain, including extrajudicial killings, attack on press freedom, and systematic discrimination against marginalized groups. With this, I truly believe that we should call for a comprehensive approach to human rights in the Philippines, emphasizing the need for accountability, education or awareness, and structural reforms for address the current violation. So, meron po ako ditong mga evidences kung bakit kailangan po nating i-uphold and strengthen the human rights in the Philippines. So, here are the some human rights issues in the Philippines na kinakaharap po natin ngayon. Una po dyan is yung extrajudicial killings and impunity. So, the controversial war on drugs has led to thousands of alleged extrajudicial killings, disproportionately affecting the urban poor. So, kung makikita po natin, isa po ito sa pinakamahirap na balita na maaaring nating intindihin. Kasi mostly sa mga war on drug victims is mga mahirap. At ito pa yung mga tao na wala namang sapat na ebidensya para sa kanila. So despite mga promises of accountability, investigation have often stalled and victim families are left without justice. Isa po sa mga example po nito ang nangyari po kay Kian kung saan siya po ay pinatay ng mga kapulisan natin. So doon po sa further investigation nalaman na wala pong karapatang or wala pong enough evidences yung mga kapulisan po natin. And due to that, wala pong justice even up till now. Hindi po nararanasan ng kanyang pamilya ang hustisya na kanilang ninanais. Sunod po na human rights issues na nakita ko sa Pilipinas is yung suppression of press freedom in dissent. So the journalist, activist, and human rights defender face harassment, threats, and violence. Isa po sa mga recent issue lamang ang pagpapasara sa ABS-CBN dahil daw po hindi nakakabayad ng taxes. Pero sa further investigation na lamang po talaga na nakababayad sila, yun lamang po ay talagang totally down po ang kanilang company. And another example is the arrest of the most prominent journalists like Maria Ressa, and the weaponization of red tagging have silenced many critical voices. Yan po. Dito lamang po sa bansang Pilipinas makikita natin na isa sa mga prominent journalist kung saan si Miss Maria Ressa is talagang naging ano pa po, naging speaker sa Harvard. Pero dito po sa atin talagang siya po ay isa sa mga tinaguriang um, terorista dahil kanya pong binabatikos ang administrasyon dahil sa mga kawalan ng sistema, injustices na mayroon po tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Sunod na human rights issues po na nakita ko is the neglect of vulnerable population. So the marginalized groups, including the indigenous peoples, women, LGBTQ plus individuals, and persons with disabilities face a systematic barrier to accessing justice, healthcare, and education. Land grabbing and displacement continue to threaten indigenous communities, ancestral domains. Pero ngayon, sa panahon po natin ngayon, talagang medyo nababawasan na po ang mga issues patungkol sa mga marginalized groups na meron po tayo. Unti-unting nabibigyan ng opportunity yung mga person with disabilities at yung mga kapatid po nating mga LGBTQ na makapagtrabaho sa mga lugar na gusto po nila. Sunod po is yung socio-economic inequality and right denial. So the poverty, unemployment, and the lack of access to basic services disproportionately affect the urban poor and rural communities, denying them the economic and social life. Kung mabalikan po natin yung mga rights na meron po tayo, isa po doon ang pagkakaroon ng healthy environment and the right of development. Isa po ang socio-economic inequality na meron po tayo. Marami pong naghihirap dahil sa patuloy na inequality na nararanasan and unemployment ng karamihan sa ating mga tao. Now, so what are the proposed solution and reforms that I can say patungkol po dito? So the first one is, yes, we should strengthen the institutions to combat the impunity. So, paano po natin gagawin yon? We should fully empower the Commission on Human Rights to investigate and prosecute human rights violations and create independent oversight bodies to monitor the law enforcement agencies, particularly the Philippine National Police or the PNP and the Armed Forces of the Philippines. So, kailangan po nating magkaroon ng mga individuals na talagang protekta laban sa mga um, hindi naman lahat, laban sa mga kapulisan at mga AFP po natin na talagang ang kanilang tingin sa kanilang sarili is they are above the law. Kailangan rin po nating magkaroon or i-empower yung CHR or the Commission on Human Rights para mas maprotektahan po ang mga karapatang pantao ng bawat isa na sa atin, especially and particularly the people na mga normal people o yung mga taong nabibilang sa mga mas mababang level or mas mababang kalidad ng pamumuhay. Sunod po na solusyon na aking nakikita is to reform the justice system na meron po tayo sa Pilipinas. We should streamline the legal process to ensure the timely investigation and prosecution. Huwag po nating madaliin ang lahat dahil gusto lang natin na magkaroon ng resulta, ng mas madali ang resulta. Dahil po dyan, maraming napapahamak na mga accused victims and accused person dahil sa pagmamadali na magkaroon ng resulta. Kailangan po natin ng legal process. It is a step-by-step process. It should be a systematic process para ma-ensure po natin na ang bawat isa is nabigyan ng karampatang punishment. So we should provide legal aid and support to the victims of human rights abuses, especially the marginalized groups. Pero yun nga po, meron naman tayong mga public attorney offices na nag-o-offer ng libreng mga consultations and services po. Kaya we just need to somewhat reform our justice system. Next po, we should protect freedom of expression and activism. So as a country, we are a democratic country. Kailangan po nating i-protect yung freedom of expression na meron tayo. We should strengthen protection for journalists, human rights defenders, and whistleblowers through anti-harassment legislation. So these people are one of our ano po tawag ito? Isa po sila sa mga nagpapatibay ng bansa na meron or ng sistema ng bansa na meron tayo. And if we should not protect them, sino na lang po yung mag-i-inform sa mga tao patungkol sa anong mga nangyayari sa bansa na meron tayo. And last or next is to repeal or revise the law that can be misused to suppress dissent such as the Anti-Terrorism Act. Dito kasi sa Anti-Terrorism Act, hindi masyado na-classified kung sino-sino ba yung mga terrorism na tinutukoy nila dito. Kasi doon, by simply questioning the administration, pwede ka na nilang sabihin na terrorism ka or you are fighting against the government and you are promoting ng war, which is not true. So, dapat meron po tayong i-revise ng kaunti yung mga law na meron po tayo. Sunod is to promote human rights education and awareness. Ito po talaga yung pinaka magagawa natin as a teacher to promote human rights education and awareness to all people, especially to our students. Turuan po natin sila habang bata pa po sila. So, we should integrate human rights education into school curricula to foster respect and understanding from early age, and to launch nationwide campaigns to raise awareness about human rights issues and empower citizens to report abuses. Kasi yun nga po, um, marami sa mga kababayan natin ang hindi alam kung ano yung mga human rights nila na meron sila. And isa sa mga challenges as a teacher na meron tayo is paano kaya natin i-educate at bibigyan ng awareness yung mga tao sa community natin patungkol sa kanilang karapatang pantao. So, through that, kailangan po nating i-promote yung human rights. So, kailangan po nating i-educate yung mga tao, simulan po natin sa paaralan. And sunod po is to prioritize the social and economic rights of all people. We should ensure equitable access to education and healthcare and implement land reforms policies to protect the rights of indigenous people and rural communities. So lastly, so as a conclusion to my position paper, human rights are not merely ideals, but it is essential guarantees that protect the dignity and freedom of all Filipinos. While the Philippines faces significant human rights challenges, these can be addressed through a united effort that involves the government, civil society, and the international community, strengthening the accountability empowering marginalized groups, and fostering a culture of respect for rights are crucial steps toward more equitable and just society. Yun nga po, kailangan po talaga nating mag um, mag-support sa mga government at to reform some of our laws and to uphold and strengthen po natin ang yung human rights na mayroon po tayo. So that would be all. And thank you everyone for listening.